In 2000, a movie entitled The Castaway starring Tom Hanks hit the big screen. Basically, it's the story of an obsessively punctual FedEx executive, Chuck Nolan, played by Tom Hanks, who was en route to an assignment in Malaysia when, during a storm, his plane crashes over the Pacific Ocean. The sole survivor of the flight, Chuck washes ashore on a deserted island. When his efforts to sail away and contact help fail, Chuck remains on the island for years and learns how to survive, accompanied only by a handmade volleyball friend, Wilson. He provides Wilson with a face, hair, and an imagined personality with whom he often has conversations. I think Wilson is a perfect example, a metaphor even, for the human need for friendship and relationship. Think about it for a moment. God was relational before we were on the scene. Then God said, "Let us make a human being in our image to be like us." Arguably, that's one of the ways we're made in His image. Humans are social animals and we like to be with and interact with others. The need is hardwired into our DNA. The Center for Disease Control reports that about 30% of adult Americans have been reporting more symptoms of anxiety and depression than before the virus. This is nearly triple the number of symptoms during this time last year, and no age demographic is exempt. Stress related to loneliness can trigger inflammation in the body, and that can lead to a host of chronic conditions. Social interaction is just as important for quelling that stress response as physical behaviors like getting enough sleep, exercising, practicing meditation, and following a balanced diet. Health consequences of loneliness are often compared to the effects of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. While loneliness is sometimes combined with social isolation, the two concepts are actually quite different. Social isolation is an objective indicator of how much contact someone has with other people, while loneliness is the subjective feeling of isolation. In other words, it's not just the number of family and friends one has, but the perceived quality of the relationship and a feeling of connection that matters. When families are at home for extended periods of time, it's not uncommon for them to dance on each other's nerves. Because of that, it is important that some me time and some social time is built into a daily schedule. When you think about it, we choose our friends and even our spouses, but we do not choose our biological relatives or other family members. Even those who are surrounded by family need their own people, people they have a special connection with and who they feel understand them. We have all become used to the term social distancing, but perhaps we should think more in terms of physical distancing. We need each other. While most of us seem to do better with person-to-person interaction, that is not always feasible now. Technology has emerged as an imperfect solution, but is at least an avenue that can help people stay connected. FaceTime, video chats, Zoom meetings, text messages, phone calls are just a few formats that offer social connection. Older people who live alone may actually benefit the most from these connections, but research shows that not everyone seems to benefit from digital interaction. Interestingly enough, loneliness may increase for some when their social media time increases. Scrolling through posts may some feel left out or serve as a painful reminder of social gatherings that are basically non-existent. The significant thing to remember is that anyone who is used to socially interacting with others 3 years and older may be feeling some loneliness and depression because of the restrictions, and no two people may be responding to the current situation in the same way. Certainly, those who are introverted genetically may have an easier time than those who are more extroverted. Parents need to be especially aware of the needs of their children and realize just being with them does not necessarily mean their children are free from experiencing some anxiety and sadness. Finding ways to connect remotely with those we feel safe with and who we can lean into for understanding can benefit all of us. However, there is another dimension to social connection. Often overlooked but very significant is the impact helping and serving others has on the one that gives. Gandalf, a character in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, says it this way: I've found that it is the small everyday deed of ordinary folks that keeps the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. Taking the focus off of our own problems, even for a short while, and helping another has profound effects on our own health. Numerous studies in neuroscience have demonstrated that such activity activates the reward pathways in our brains and releases hormones, oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine, that counteract the stress hormone cortisol. Scientists actually call this a warm glow. Not only that, but simple acts of kindness can help eliminate feelings of anger, loneliness, depression, and even lower blood pressure and increase self-esteem. It's no wonder Jesus taught, if anyone would be first, he must be last of all and servant of all. The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. A story is told of a small boy who became afraid in the middle of a thunderstorm and called out to his father. In response, his father answered that his son didn't need to be afraid because God was with him. After a few moments, the son's quivering voice replied, I know that, but right now I need someone with skin on. What a blessing every one of us could be if each day we reached out, even with an encouraging note, a text, or call to another, in order to be God's love with skin on.